Alright, you can wait here for now. I'll inform our leader that you've arrived at the Temple of Silence. Sit tight until he comes to greet you.
So he's just gonna leave us here unattended?
They can't have been at the oasis by chance. They were waiting for us. Whoever the leader is here, they were obviously counting on us showing up.
So this is the Temple of Silence. After leaving the rainforest, they hid themselves here?
Hey, look! That guy's coming back.
Don't worry. Someone will come and call for you soon.
What's your name?
Sorry, guess I was so delighted to see you, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Sethos. I'll be here if you need me, but I'm not planning on answering all of your questions. Other than that, you can occupy yourselves however you see fit.
So we're free to explore by ourselves.
Yep. I mean, I'm not worried about you running off. Cyrus is here. And unless I've misunderstood, you're all quite anxious to see him again.
He's right. Well, if we've got some time... I never imagined that the true Temple of Silence would be hidden somewhere like this.
That's King Deshret's technology for you, I guess. It borders on the miraculous.
We should be wary of our hosts. Still, at this point, we...
Hey, Sethos! Have you got some time to chat?
Sure. Although, I'm assuming by chat, you mean you have questions for me? Not often. The Temple of Silence is a place of quiet and solitude. We don't get too many visitors. Yes, that was me. Although, tricked is a stretch. He was asking everyone in the tavern about ways to make... He insisted that nothing was off the table, even if it broke the law. So, I told him that Cyrus had embezzled...
So you framed Cyrus for a crime that he did?
No. That's not entirely true. Let me jog your memory. The letter just said that he had uncovered... Of course. Uraka was a great accomplice, really. Very cooperative with a little bit of wine in him. Did exactly what he was told. And not much of an original thinker, though.
Why did Cyrus leave for the desert as soon as...
You'll have to ask him that one yourself. Certain things I can't answer for him. All you need to know is that he recognized our emblem. And it was his own choice to take the bait. What kind of question is that? He's the General Mahamatra. Everyone in Sumeru knows who he is.
Right, but back at the Oasis, you can't have known who he was for sure, or you wouldn't have asked him. So, what we're really asking is, have you never seen him in person before?
I've lived in the desert my whole life. Guess you could say I've never had the pleasure.
Ugh, why does Paimon feel like this guy's not being straight with us?
Come on, we've only just met. If I give you all the answers up front, you'll have nothing left to look forward to. Nope, not once.
Really?
I have no need to go there. Not when the taverns are full of the Urakas of this world. Besides, we're well aware of what goes on at that place. Spies? It's not as clandestine as that. The city gates are wide open. Anyone's free to walk in. You can find out all you need to know just by walking around town and hearing the word on the street. Mm-hmm. Ah, here he is. Grandfather, the person you wish to see is here.
Well done, Sethos. Greetings, one and all. I am Ba Moon, the current leader of the Temple of Silence. I know why you are here, and I thank you for your patience. Bring him out.
Professor!
Cyrus, are you okay?
Ah!
Watch what you're doing!
Oh, my apologies. We have no intention of causing you distress. But you must understand, Cyrus is of great importance to us. We had to find a way to bring him back to us. Cyrus owes me his life, and to the Temple of Silence, he owes a debt of gratitude. I let him go a long time ago, but now, the time has come to demand payment.
I wanted to end my feud with this old bag of bones before you caught up with me. Just leave, Sino. This is a matter between us two old men. You're all too young to get involved.
So that's why you didn't want to report the letter. You'd made up your mind to come here from the beginning. You only left in such a hurry to try and throw us off your trail.
Some things in life catch up with you. No matter what you do, you shouldn't have come.
Sino didn't make us do anything. We came here for the same reason he did. To rescue you. We'd appreciate you telling us the truth. Otherwise, it seems a little unfair on everyone who had to stay behind.
My secrets are secret for good reason. Bringing them to light can only lead to misfortune.
You're afraid, aren't you? You can't bring yourself to speak of your past deeds to the students you nurtured as if they were your own children. You recognized our emblem because for many years you lived among us. Indeed, you all but became one of us. You knew as soon as you saw the letter that we, not Uraka, were the ones speaking to you. It threatened you only because you know what you did. Your own guilt convicted you. For you, Cyrus, are a traitor. You once shared your learning with us, and joined us in our mission to revive the might of Hermanubis, to bring new hope, new opportunity. But then, you betrayed us. You bargained for your independence with your past contributions. And then you left, taking with you Hermanubis' might and the wielder of his power. We both know what I said to you that day. That as the leader, I grant you permission to leave, but that one day, the sands of time will catch up with you. And when that day comes, you must pay the price you owe.
You really know how to hold a grudge.
Hermanubis' might? And the wielder of his power?
Does he mean you?
Professor, anything to say?
The moon is right. I came here once before. He rescued me from the brink of death once, many years ago in the desert. When he learned that I was a scholar, he invited me to come here and revive the might of Hermanubis together. It was a great, daring plan, and one shrouded in secrecy. The Temple of Silence had been bereft of Hermanubis for too long. The strength of its faith and its warriors were waning. Bamoon proposed that we implant bar fragments, shards of Hermanubis, into the bodies of suitable vessels. If the experiment was successful, the spirit of Hermanubis would then dwell with... many believers volunteered themselves for the experiment. But we soon discovered that the bodies of grown adults could not withstand Hermanubis' power. One other child was identified as a suitable vessel, and his parents agreed to release him into our custody in exchange for a small fortune.
For many years, the Temple of Silence had been in possession of 2 Ba fragments from Hermanubis. As remnants of his raw power, they were exceedingly rare treasures. The test subjects were sent into a room that had been prepared for the ceremony and instructed to approach the Ba fragments, whose power had been amplified. If, after some time, this power did not repel them, this would mean that they were suitable vessels. The original plan was for a 3-stage experiment: resonance, implantation, and recovery and observation. The resonance stage went quite smoothly for both candidates. As the second stage began, I realized a decision had to be made. Should we implant the fragments one at a time? This would allow us to monitor the results after the first round and adjust our plan accordingly. Or alternatively, we could implant each fragment in a different vessel at the same time and compare their effects. But as I was deliberating, both Ba fragments suddenly became active. They glowed with a light we had never seen before. I knew that if they were not implanted right away, they would disintegrate and be gone from the world for good. Our 2 vessels had both displayed great promise by successfully resonating with the fragments. And to preserve our faith and our power, we implanted each of them with a
Ultimately, I ended the experiment and left, taking one of the children with me.
In recognition of your past contributions, I chose not to send someone to hunt down and kill you both. Your lives were spared, but I have always wanted to see you, Sino. Losing you and your Ba fragment dealt us a devastating blow.
I see. So that's how I gained my power.
Look, in essence, I borrowed your Ba fragment for a decade or so. And now you are seeking justice. If you want to take my life, then so be it. I'm an old man now anyway. But you cannot lift a finger against Sino. He is the General Mahamatra. Your actions would be seen as a declaration of war against the Academia.
I'm sure you don't remember anymore, dear Sino, but you've met us all before. You were so young then, when we all gathered around and celebrated the revival of our Lord. You and he, Sethos, you were our final hope.
You'd like me to return my power?
As a follower of Hermanubis, I have allowed this power to remain in the rainforest for far too long. Now, it is time to reclaim it.
That power is not yours to reclaim.
You are wrong. Sino was chosen, but he was not the only one. My child, Sethos, has the same gift as he.
So those are your terms for freeing the professor?
Despise me all you want. My sins are my own. The Temple of Silence is an innocent party. It is because of my foolishness all those years ago that the Temple's glory has waned. And now I must take responsibility for the decision I made.
So what you're saying is, the power of one Ba fragment is not enough? You're asking me to return the one in my possession.
Divine power causes great suffering to those who wield.
He is no longer a small child. But regardless, this burden is ours to bear. And your objections mean little.
Both my heart and mind are telling me that what you are proposing is a terrible idea.
Don't listen to him, Sino. That power is no more yours to give than it is his to take.
I know. But if this is a question of your freedom...
Sorry to interrupt, but in my view, there are a number of contentions. Say that Sino refuses to return his power, and you also refuse to release Cyrus. Then, we are at an impasse. You're trying to gauge where we stand while keeping your remaining cards close to your chest. Well, my stance is, put the rest of your cards on the table. Then we can have a discussion.
Wait, those ears. So, we have a descendant of the Valukashuna in our midst. Splendid. Fate smiles upon us after all. Everything we have longed for, Hermanubis will provide. Perhaps this very day we'll...
Why is he coughing so much?
Pamoon, you...
Take our leader back to his room.
Sethos.
Grandfather, I know what you wish to say. I don't like to drag out conversations, so I'll just cut to the chase. Had Cyrus not stopped the experiment all those years ago, the plan would most likely have been a success. Still, it's no use talking about what-ifs. I'm not like my grandfather. The Temple of Silence has a grand legacy and a sacred duty to fulfill. But I see things a little differently. I don't believe the temple has the same stature that it once did, so I'm not going to force your hand. You're all free to leave, except for Cyrus. My grandfather gave him his chance once, and now I'm giving the rest of you yours.
You have courage and wise judgment, kid. Reminds me a lot of Bamoon in his younger years. I truly wish that the temple would take an objective look at the academia of today. And things will only continue to improve. Why not consider cooperating with the academia once more?
If you hadn't betrayed my grandfather, I might well be open to persuasion. But it's a...
Tainari made a good point earlier. He said there has to be more to your plan. All you and Ba-Moon are after is the Ba fragment. The professor will accept whatever fate you deem fit for him out of a sense of guilt. Ultimately, you want to trade the Ba fragment for the professor.
I'm glad to see you're giving it some serious...
I won't forsake my professor. Nor do I intend to run from a problem that I must face sooner or later.
That works. Oh, my grandfather still has a fair few things he wants to say to Cyrus.
Are you sure about negotiating?
I need to think this through. Everyone lets me to...
All right, well, don't put too much pressure on yourself, Sino. If you...
I've taken some time to reflect on this. If I had to guess, Professor Cyrus came to the desert knowing that he would almost certainly never return. He's a stubborn man who tends to double down when he feels strongly about something.
I agree. My master Nephis says the same thing.
So that's one thing. You've heard all you need to hear about the Temple of Silence. My own memories of this place are hazy, though. Probably something to do with the overpowering presence of the Ba fragments. I do remember having some fleeting moments of profound emotion when vague images would appear in my mind. I was still young then, and all I could understand was that there was a strong will inside my mind. Thinking back on it now, the power that came to inhabit my spirit was probably one of the cornerstones of their whole faith. So...
You're not gonna give in to their demands, are you? Surely there has to be another way.
No. I have no intention of returning it. I need this power to protect Sumeru, so I will challenge them head-on, and win the right to wield this power for myself.
This reminds me of something Alhaitham mentioned to me just before we left. He said that the Temple of Silence was originally founded by the ruling elite of the day. Kaveh has made similar observations about the desert tribes from his work trips there. He says many of them have their own internal rules. They talk about the importance of never dishonoring their tribal bonds, or the rules laid down by their ancestors. I think we could turn that to our advantage. Go back to them with a proposal of our own.
Wow, and just like that, we've turned...
Looks like we have the same idea. Turn it back on them now while we still can. In terms that they cannot
Great. And I know just how to start the conversation. Let's go find Sethos.
Sethos, let's talk.
Have you made up your mind?
We'll get to that, but first, I
have no objections, although we do have our own doctors.
only one...
Follow me. Keep your voices down. We don't want to disturb.
Let's talk outside. Bamoon has fallen into a deep coma, and his prognosis is quite grave. He appears to have sustained a serious injury in his youth, which has been exacerbated over the years by the heavy burden of work and now by the effects of... Regretfully, I must inform you that, based on what I've seen with patients in a similar condition...
Yeah. I've known for a long...
You're his heir, aren't you? You clearly have a lot of respect for the man. But you also see things differently. So tell me how we can end this on your terms. Let's find a way to bring all this to a resolution while Bamoon is still alive to see it. That's what really...
Yeah, there's no time to waste here. You know that better than it.
You know, the two of you are actually in a very similar predicament right now. Both of you have a very different...
Right. And you didn't create this situation. They did, but...
You're right. We both look at this problem very different. I accept, Sino. This all began because of Hermanubis. Legend has it that when Hermanubis first arrived in Tuletula, he sparred with the city's residents. He and his that group of supporters were some of the first members of the Temple of
Sounds very fitting.
As a fellow vessel of Hermanubis, your ties to the Temple of Silence run deep. So
3 against 3. Sounds good.
However, I have some additional terms. As the challengers, you must win all 3 of your fights to win. And letting Cyrus leave with one of the Ba fragments was a mistake, made by my grandfather out of pity. It is a long-standing issue that must be addressed for the Temple of Silence to move forward.
None needed. We're on the same... If I win, the Temple of Silence must... If you win...
It's a deal. Then let's meet at the ceremonial hall.
Well, after how that went, there's definitely no turn.
There never was. Turning back hasn't been
You have to win. You need this power.
Yeah, that's right. Besides, it stayed with you ever since you were as...
Both as General Muhammad... Yeah. When you put it that way. I've had to overcome a lot to...
Exactly!
The Traveler and I will never...
And neither shall... The desert was home to an ancient and great civilization that, for a variety of reasons, fell out with the civilization. But there must be personal factors at work here, too. I can't shake the feeling that Bamoon cares for many more things than he lets on. Tomorrow...
We gather on this day to perform once more the rite of duels with the greatest of all sages, Lord. This is our most sacred of ceremonies, and no disruption from the audience shall be tolerated. Representing the Temple of Silence.
Grandfather, you're here.
A rite of duels after all these...
I know what I'm doing, Grandfather.
Representing the Academia, the Challengers.
Ready. We will fight to have our voices heard.
Warriors, take your positions and... We come not to debate what brings our challengers here, nor what will become of the defeated duelists.
Huh? Are you sure?
I agree. He's very strong. Sending him out first will definitely...
Okay, then you're...
Sure.
We have decided.
So have we.
Duelists of the first bout, please step forward.
Don't forget, safety first! Hey, you there! You better play nice with them or Paimon will make you regret it!
A little bit too much chatter from the audience over there.
Hey!
Propagate!
A swift end to the first bout. I now invite the duelists of the second bout to... When you're both ready...
Let's begin.
Watch out!
Go, K9, go!
He drank plenty of water before the bout, so he should be fine.
One with the force. I'll uproot you! There!
Thus ends the second bout.
I'm ready.
So am I.
This is the final stage of the rite. When you're both ready...
I am Sethos. For many years, we have kept our covenant with Lord Hermanubis by guarding the secrets of King Deshret. And even in our darkest hour, when we could not see a way forward, we chose not. We earnestly sought Lord Hermanubis' wisdom and power. Now, I will fight.
I am Sino, General Mahamatra of the Academia, student and successor of Cyrus, the Sage of Spontamod. I fight in defense of my power, my professor, and my nation. And you. I think you left some things unsaid. This is a sacred duel.
Everyone, old and young. My grandfather is a wise leader. He is also known to be a ruler who is not afraid to get blood, but our faith has held us back for too long. After I grew up, I went to the reign. Times have changed. The people of Sumeru are happier and more free now than in the past. I thought about this. Then I thought of you, Sino. You and I both wield the same power. Yet each Ba fragment of Hermanubis stands for something different. Might. Glory. I once thought that the nature of our fragments must be what makes us so different from one another. But...
I am more than just a warrior. I am my own person.
Exactly.
the name Hermanubis has left its mark on both of us. So show me your answer, Sino. Show me I can be more than my faith. More... Bring it on!
you've got? What happened to searching for your answer? Fight's over. Do you yield?
You won.
Well then, looks like you found your answer.
I give his glory to you.
I've seen that light. That is the light of our Lord, the great Hermanubis, priest over all other priests. His spirit dwells within that lightning, and his will lives on. Once a warrior of Tynar, he emerged from the barren desert sands to serve the god king Al-Ahmar. After the death of the god king, Hermanubis gathered his followers and the Tynarian priests and led them to the city of Tule-Tula. There, they founded the Temple of Silence, and from that day forth, we became stewards of all knowledge that survived from King Deshret's civilization. Barely a century passed before war ravaged the desert. One by one, Eremite leaders took up arms against each other in battles that would devour what little remained of their civilization. Only the wise city of Tule-Tula was spared under the guiding hand of the Tynarians. But peace did not last. Coveting the knowledge of King Deshret, the beasts set their eyes on Tule-Tula. The king of Gurabad laid siege to the city and ordered the sages to surrender to him the Temple of Silence as proof of his victory. The ruling elite colluded with their oppressors, betraying the temple so as to hold on to their rule over the city. They declared that the knowledge guarded by the temple was the true cause of corruption. These were dark days, and we faced enemies on all sides. Our Lord had long since exhausted his strength, keeping the forbidden knowledge introduced by King Deshret at bay. To ensure the temple's continued survival, he broke his being into many pieces and began the ceremony of Hermanubis' legacy, bestowing his power upon his mortal followers. With this power, the temple was able to defeat the tyrant's army. Yet, we were not hailed as heroes. Strange and unfamiliar as this power was, it struck fear into the people's hearts and drove them to reject us. In the end, the people of the temple and the Tule-Tula Tynarians left the city for good and made their way to the rainforest. What followed next was inevitable. The elite of Tule Tula fell and were decimated. War engulfed the desert. And we wandered from place to place, always in hiding, all the while keeping close watch over our secrets and staying true to our mission. Betrayal forced us out of the desert and into the forest. Then mistrust drove us from the forest into the desert once more. We have lived in exile for far, far too long. Yet, today, the Temple of Silence has borne witness to the glory of Hermanubis once more. Thank you.
How is it? Do you feel okay?
Grandfather.
Hey, Sethos. You'll get through this.
I know.
I guess you were prepared for this. It's been a long time coming, huh?
Yeah, he's been on death's door for a very long time now. At least, he was able to see that.
What's next for you?
Per my grandfather's last wishes, the Temple of Silence should submit to whoever possesses the largest number of Hermanubis fragments.
But that's never going to work, as I'm sure you realize. I'm the General Mahamatra. I am needed back at the Academia. I did foresee this possibility, and I gave it some thought. The fact is, I know next to nothing about the staff, records, Sethos. Were it not for this duel, or indeed if you had other intentions, the Ba fragments would most likely be in your hands by now. I'm sure Ba-Moon never meant for anyone.
You really think so?
I do.
Still, I didn't think Ba-Moon looked very surprised by the final result.
Well, in any case, since Sethos, I would like you to succeed Ba-Moon as the new leader of the Temple of Silence. You are more suited to the role than I, and I...
But doesn't that render everything that we've been through up to now meaningless?
No, it doesn't. This experience has allowed us to become friends, which means that the Academia and the Temple of Silence will become partners once more. That's a much bigger deal than you might think, Sethos. You said yourself, times have changed.
I will try. To be honest, I couldn't have...
Actually, part of me wonders whether Ba-Moon's intentions from the very beginning was just to create enough pressure that way. No matter who won, one of us would have to surrender our... Had you won, the Temple of Silence would have doubled its... And were I to win, he correctly anticipated that I wouldn't suddenly drop everything to become the leader of the Temple. He knew that the Temple's future would depend not just on the guidance of Hermanubis, but the support of the Academia too. So he made it his plan meant that whoever ended up succeeding him, they would have an easier time interacting with the Academia. With one single letter.
And here I thought the General Mahamatra wouldn't care for all these trivial details. You're absolutely right. Grandfather and I considered this from every angle. We had to find a way to mend our relationship with the Academia. In that sense, thank you for everything, Sino. As a gesture of our gratitude, to those that you and Lesser Lord Kusanali deem worthy, I will grant the honor of access to the Temple of Silence for their pursuit of knowledge. The Temple of Silence has a wealth of information on King Deshret's civilization, more than any other organization in existence today. In times when you need information that only we can provide. But you must be exceedingly careful with your selection of candidates, lest you lead humanity to repeat the same mistakes. By the way, Tainari, my grandfather was so happy to see you. You are a descendant of the Veluka Shuna, and we are the heir. The story goes that King Deshret chose the sage Hermanubis from among the Tainarians, and he went on to fight many valiant battles with his Tainarian companions. They always stood by each other, from the founding of the Temple of Silence to the fall. The Tainarians who left Tuletula joined their human counterparts in the rainforest. A few centuries later, when some of the group returned to the desert, many of the Tainarians chose to stay and put down roots in the rain. In all likelihood, those were your ancestors.
How fascinating. My father once mentioned that I was named after the Tainarians, but I never knew that my forebears had such...
I like this story.
By the way, has anyone seen Cyrus?
Yes, Cyrus. You'll probably find him in my grandfather's room. He wouldn't show it.
If it's true that you and your grandfather really planned for everything to turn out this way, then I guess he didn't really resent Cyrus as much as he appeared to.
Who knows? Perhaps all of us. You, me...
Someone's got to make the decisions when history is at a crossroads. I will make a detailed report on all of this to Lesser Lord Kusanali, and arrange for an official delegation from the Academia to come and meet you in the desert. I'm sure you'll have lots to attend to in the days ahead. But once things return to normal, please come and visit the rainforest again. You should stay for a few days this time. If we're going to work together, both sides have to...
I will. Alright, well... Bye for now.
See you soon. Come hang out with us anytime.
What were you thinking, gallivanting off into the desert alone at your age? What if you take the bucket, You told not a soul what you were up to, designated nobody to handle your affairs, and left everyone scrambling frantically to try and figure out how on earth to clean up the colossal mess you'd made.
Oh, please, will you stop your yelling? What other choice did I have?
What do you mean, what other choice? Do you mean to tell me that after all your years of learning, and sagehood no less, the only idea you could conjure up in that white-haired walnut of yours was to shoot off into the unknown like some hot-headed 20-year-old adventurer? A one-man suicide mission, That's the best idea that one of the finest minds of a generation could come up with, is it?
All right, all right. Honestly, the way you're going off on me, it's like you wish you'd been there to lend him a hand.
I've got nothing more to say.
What do you mean, bag of bones? I'm a flesh and blood hero, who, despite his old age... Okay, look. Fine, I admit it, I was in the wrong. How can I make it up to you? What about,
1 month? Try 3.
Inari's master is really laying into Cyrus. Let's give them a wide...
Professor brought this on himself.
Wow, I haven't seen Master get this riled up in a long time. The last time he chewed someone out like this must have been back when I was still a student.
I think I'll go around and update everyone. Tell them the situation's resolved. Want to come with me? We can go for dinner afterwards. My treat. You in?
Makes sense.
Paimon's coming!
Hey, Kale.
You're back! Well, look who we have here. Would you mind explaining to me what has been going on this past few days? I heard you all ran off into the desert and got embroiled in a major catastrophe.
All taken care of.
That does not answer my question. How could you be so careless? That goes for you as well. Yes, when you run into problems, you really ought to ask for help, you know? I've been around the block. Don't you think it would have made sense to involve me? And let's not...
Now would not be a good time to attempt to argue with Farazan.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. It's not the first time that I've had to talk to you about this sort of thing either. You need to learn that there are times when the right thing to do is get a more experienced member of staff involved. Do I make my...
Kale, please do something.
He's giving me the signal. All right, guess it's time to play my ace in the hole.
Say, Madam Farazan, I can see you're pretty upset, but,
Huh? Wait, did I hear that right? Kale, you remember? Wonderful. Well, of course the offer still stands.
Poor Kale getting dragged off like that. Also, check out Farazan acting like some...
Kale! Cup.
Huh? What?
What do you mean, cup?
Oh, it's nothing. Just Master's way of reminding me to stay hydrated while I'm out and about.
It's code for let's reconvene at the cafe. Tainari and I used it while we were in school, and it's become something of a family tradition now.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. 2 people left. Let's bring them along, too. Am I hallucinating? Or do I see Kaveh and Alhaitham engaged in...
We're just reorganizing all the books we used. Look, there's a whole
There's no rush. Nobody reads these books anyway.
My sincere thanks to you.
Yes, with your help, we resolved the issue rather swiftly and painlessly. And the...
I see. The Temple of Silence resorted to rather unique means of self-preservation. It explains...
And it sounds like they managed to preserve a whole load of ancient documents as well.
That day will come. The Temple of Silence is a hugely important organization. Now, as a token of my appreciation...
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds great. Although, after the last few days...
Sure. Let's go.
And then, the Traveler just pounced on their opponent and knocked him right. Then there was Tainari. He put up an amazing fight, too. We ended up winning all 3 bouts. Whoa. Part of me wishes I'd been there to see it, but...
A truly edifying account of the events.
Hey, Paimon included all the juicy details. The Traveler just pounced and then wave their sword like this, then spin around.
Despite winning 3 bouts in a row, you still ceded the position of leader to him. That's very dignified.
Of course. Being dignified comes with...
I got to be a champion too for once. I've not sparred much with desert folk before. It was a pretty unique experience.
Yeah! Huge place! It felt like something right out of an epic poem! Imagine this. It was like there was...
Maybe save that one for later, Paimon. Dessert's here.
I think that'll do me for today.
Shall we stop off at the House of Dana again before heading home? We should probably finish putting all those books back.
My thoughts exactly. See you around.
I should get going as well. See you all later.
I need to go say thanks to the Core 30 for their help. Also, Sir Nephis says he wanted to introduce me to some of the Academia's work processes. So, I gotta dash too.
Kali's come a long way. She's much more confident at dealing with other people these days.
Everyone's a work in progress. You never stop learning.
Yeah, true.
That was good. It feels like everything's finally wrapped up now. Life is all about these moments when you can finally relax and hang out with good friends after a job well done. And also, those desserts Sino got, they were really good. Paimon Death.
Do you 3 have anything planned for the rest of the day? If not, would you come somewhere with me? That's a secret for now.
Okay. I think I can guess what you're talking about.
Well, now Paimon's curious.
Been a while since I last made my way up here.
Wow, look at this place!
Need any help? As you wish.
It's a nice spot, isn't it?
What a great view! We're so high up, we can see for miles!
Traveler, turn around. This is my secret base. Somewhere I only bring my best friends. When I was a student, I used to slip away and climb up here all the time, just to clear my head. I was quite young then, and back then, I had a lot of the same questions that Sethos was asking. Who am I? Our gifts help us to find our rightful place in the world. That was my experience, and I'm sure Sethos will figure things out in his own time, too.
You two really are like brothers.
I feel the same way. Of course.
I still remember one time when we came up here to chat and do our homework. Sino accidentally dropped a...
That was the one and only time. Nothing will ever...
Those were good times.
You know, Paimon really shouldn't be able to imagine Sino doing something like that, but for some strange reason...
Then make it stop. There's somebody there. It's Professor Sip. You guys carry on without me.
Okay.
Huh? Hey, you're not supposed to jump
Oh, my days.
Professor... What?
Sino. Just the man I'm looking for. Guess what I...
Some old photos?
Can you believe it? This notebook was just sitting in a pile of odds and ends. I was at the Academia earlier to discuss my workload with Nephis. I swung... Well, time flies. Look how tiny you are in this picture. Still a kid.
You look quite young yourself in that one. Ah, it's this one. I remember that. Lisa...
Yep. Looks like her work, all right. Who else could have found just the...
And this one. Looks like we're both dozing off.
Oh, cheeky girl. Taking secret photos of us without our knowledge.
Is there something you'd like to say to me, Professor?
Like what? Like, these are good photos, aren't they? Hey, at moments like this, I hardly know what... I can't pretend I'm a good person. Bamoon had every reason to despise me. And Will...
Don't be ridiculous, you old codger.
Is that not what you wanted me to say? Oh, I've dreamt of that place many times after leaving the desert. Sometimes I've dreamed that I was doing research with him again. Oh, it was one of the happiest times of my... You've matured so much over the years, I know.
Since you're my professor, I should save you some face by not calling you out on all the non-answers you just gave. So, I will do the right thing and keep my mouth shut.
Good thinking. Take your own advice next. Seriously, why bully an old man like me? Hey, wait, how did I not notice this one earlier?
Lisa strikes again. Just how many did she take?
Look how cute you were when you were little. I remember how well-mannered you were back then, too.
Yeah, and look how serious and professional you used to be.
Oh, I can't compete with you anymore. First you get better than me at the deadpan jokes, and now you're besting me at those little quips, too.
Don't say that.
Huh, that's more like it. Hey, what would you say to meeting up with Lisa again some...
I'd like that. Let's find a time and pay her a visit in Mondstadt.
All right, I'll add it to my schedule. Let's go next week. Wait, no. Next week is the tomato growing competition. I have got to beat Zaha Hadid.
Or you could find a real hobby, Professor.
Every journey has its final day. Don't rush.
Ad Astra Abyssosk. Welcome to the Adventurers Guild. Thank you for Ad Astra...